that valley, I thought to myself, thank God that just a few days before he was here, Chief Public Prosecutor came by. He held up his hand and stopped me.
No.
You know, you prayed for me on board the ship. And I just sort of pushed him off. But I want to let you know.
Brother got help.
Bring your snow or whatever. You know, yeah. Anybody in this bit? Buddy. Those who had uprooted and gave huge offerings to the great. And in the translation, we have the message. Those that this widow has given by far the largest offering. All the others made offerings have done never miss. She gave extravagantly. What she couldn't afford, she gave it all. Many ready men and women have given and are giving extravagantly, more than any of us could ever imagine. Many of our young married men, of whom maybe over 50% are married in our military, did not realize when they took the vows till death do us part. That was done so quickly. How do we best honor them? America will remain the home of the free as long as it's the home of the brave. St. Francis once said that we've been called to heal wounds, to unite what's fallen apart, and to bring home those who have lost their way. That was personified in a little girl that an AP correspondent took a picture of, about 8 years old, running from the flaming, burning fire of napalm, which covered her body and killed her grandmother and her 2 brothers. And some of you may remember that picture. The correspondent that took the picture took her to the hospital. Later on, she wanted to go to college and become a doctor. But the communists saw a propaganda victory for them, so they made her work in a government office. And she's supposed to lay bare her arms and show the scars from the ugly Americans who dropped napalm on her. But as destiny had it, when they sent her to Cuba on a mission, she met an evangelical Vietnamese there, and he, along with her, both accepted the Lord in their hearts. And becoming a Christian made it very difficult for her to go back to communist Vietnam, an atheistic regime. But they tolerated her and brought her back. But on a mission to Canada, she and her husband both defected and became Canadian citizens. At the wall, when she looked at the wall, she gave a speech to the veterans of foreign wars and the American Legion. And she said, if the men that dropped the napalm on me were here today, I would tell them, I forgive you. And needless to say, the veterans that stood by that wall shed a lot of tears that day. President Lincoln said that we need to pay homage to the sacrifice of our soldiers, that we here highly resolve that these dead should not have died in vain. There's a poem that was written during the Vietnam War. I worked for an Army Training Center, and the commanding general gave that poem, and I've never forgotten it. Lest I go my complacent way, help me to remember that someone out there died for me today. As long as there be war, I must ask and answer, am I worth dying for? Billy Graham shared this story about Einstein. Einstein was traveling from Princeton on a train, and the conductor came around and asked for his ticket, and he went around in his pockets, and he couldn't find his ticket, and he said, "That's okay, Dr. Einstein. We know that you have a ticket." Well, the conductor left, and as he left, he looked over his shoulder. Dr. Einstein was underneath the chair looking for his ticket on the floor, and in desperation looked everywhere. And finally he said, "That's okay, doctor. We know who you are. We know that you bought a ticket." He said to the conductor, "Yes, I know who I am too, but I forgot where I'm going." Billy Graham said, "I know who I am, and I know where I'm going." Folks, this is not the country our fathers have created. We become paralyzed by political correctness. We have multiculturalism on steroids. We default too quickly to apathy, while our country's in danger of a moral meltdown. Our nation's been on a slippery slope for a long time. And if we look around, we find a steady move away from the things which made our nation great. The principles upon which our nation was founded are no longer our backbone. We've forgotten we're a nation under God. And during the last 50 years, federal judges have misconstrued and abused the concept of church and state, censoring God from the public square and depleting the moral fiber of our nation. Sometimes it appears that there's a sense of embarrassment about America's historic underpinnings as a nation founded on Judeo-Christian tradition and values. The First Amendment reads in part, "Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of a religion, nor prohibiting the free exercise thereof." The truth is, in that amendment, recognition of God was not denied by the First Amendment. That is, until the courts in the 60s turned away from the law and the truth. The acknowledgement and the sovereignty of God was the very object of the amendment. The very acknowledgement of God is the foundation for liberty, justice, and freedom of conscience enjoyed by many Americans over many generations. Roy Moore, the Honorable Judge who was relieved from his duty in Arkansas some years ago, had mentioned that one nation under God is more than a nice phrase. It's the embodiment of all we hold dear. And yet a minority of Americans are suppressing the voices of the majority of Americans. Dr. James Dobson at a Roy Moore rally warned the crowd that there are powers in and out of government that are determined to remove every evidence of faith in God from our culture. They're determined to control more and more of our private lives, and it's about time we said enough is enough. Folks, there's a battle raging across our land between good and evil, right and wrong, light and darkness. Roy Moore wrote this poem, I'll give you part of it, entitled, "Can He Count on You?" Said, "Today we face another war, fought not on some distant shore, nor against a foe we can see, yet one as ruthless as can be. He'll take your life and your children too, and say there's nothing you can do. He'll make you think that wrong is right. 'Tis but a sign to stand and fight. And though we face the wrath of hell against these gates, we shall prevail. In homes and schools across the land, it's time for Christians to take a stand." What can we do? Wake up. Wake up from our lethargy. Edmund Burke said, "All that's necessary for evil to flourish is for good men to do nothing." Secondly, pray. Those who do, keep alive the watchfires of faith and freedom. And third, what can we do? Get involved. We need leaders. We need to do our civic duty. We need to vote and get the right people in. Out of gratitude to God, our founding fathers, and our service members. So in deference to a prayer that my wife is probably praying right now, I'll conclude with this. Dear Lord, fill my mind with good stuff and nudge me when I've said enough. I have the privilege of introducing